I laughed till my stomach cramped up. I was up watching funny videos on YouTube. I was supposed to be asleep so I could wake up in time for my date the next day. My boyfriend Josh wanted us to go to a breakfast place he found. A pop-up appeared on my screen, and I tried to swipe it away, but instead ended up clicking the link. I was taken to a site that had dark web written on it. Curiosity got the best of me, and I went through the site, checking what it was all about. I wasn't stupid, so I had a vague idea of what dark web was. I checked through the site and saw nothing that intrigued me, so I decided to go to sleep. The next morning, Josh picked me up and we went to the breakfast place. We ordered pancakes and orange juice, and I had to admit that it was pretty good. When Josh went up to pay, his phone screen lit up, and because I was such a curious person, I peeked at who it was. It was an angry message from a website. I clicked it and read through what was going on. Josh was on the dark web. And according to the message, he just hacked into someone's account and carted away their money. I quickly closed his phone and acted like everything was fine. How could he be this evil? I was a computer analyst. That was how I met Josh. We worked together for the same firm. I was better than he was, and he teased me from time to time that I could pose a problem for him in the market. Josh came back, and I managed to smile at him. We went back to his place to hang out, but I couldn't get my mind off the message I saw. When he left me in the living room to go and change, I wasted no time to get his phone. I copied his server address and all other relevant stuff that I needed to my phone. Of all things I hated about people, I hated those who took advantage of others the most. That was exactly what Josh was doing. I got back to my apartment and wasted no time in hacking into his account on dark web. I saw that he had been doing this for about 4 months now. That was 2 months before we met. He had scammed a lot of people and was getting away with it. He was good, but I was better than he was. I decided to scare him a bit before getting justice for all those people he had cheated. I went to his place again the next day and we spent the day playing video games. It was easy to pretend everything was okay. I put my plan in action. I installed the mini speakers I had bought last evening into his house. I put one in his living room, kitchen, and bedroom, pleased with myself. I decided to stay over at his place, much to his delight. He had been asking me for weeks now. When he was asleep, there was a sudden noise. I tapped him awake looking scared. "What's that sound?" I asked him. "What sound?" he asked. We both heard it this time. It sounded like footsteps. Then suddenly a voice said, "Josh." We both jumped up. I was trembling. "Is there someone inside?" I whispered. Josh quietly stood up, his eyes frozen with fear. "I don't know." While still trying to get my composure back, the lights came on its own, and the windows opened and closed at intervals. I screamed this time and started to cry. "Josh!" The voice was chilling and scared Josh so much. After a while, everything went back to normal, and Josh and I stayed awake the remainder of the night. Although the voice was my idea, I didn't know why the lights and windows had acted up. I was genuinely scared that time. I went home and decided to just finish the rest of my plan. I hacked into Josh's account and transferred the money to my account, hoping that I could find a way to refund all those people of their money. "Stacy!" I jerked awake, holding my covers to my chin. What was that? The voice came again, a high-pitched voice that grated on my nerves. There was the sound of laughter, and I refused to leave my bed. What was going on? I was the one scaring Josh. Why was this happening to me?
"You bitch!"
the voice screamed.
"No one will save you! Tell them it was a mistake!"
Scared to death, I called the cops and told them that someone was pranking me. They sounded annoyed before they hung up. There was the loud sound of footsteps, and I remained in bed, sure that whatever was going to meet me would kill me. The door opened, and I screamed with everything I had in me. "Stacy, hey, calm down!" It was Josh. I was panting as he came to my side. I asked him what he was doing in my house, and he said that he was coming to tell me something when he saw that someone had broken into my apartment. He followed the person in, but they escaped. I told him about what happened and how the person had threatened me. I was wrong to have pranked Josh. Now I knew how he must have felt like when I did it. Josh held me in bed, patting my head till I was able to fall asleep. When I woke up, I saw him sitting on the chair beside my bed, holding a speaker. He pushed a button on it, and the same voice I heard last night came out of it. My jaw fell open. Josh laughed at the expression on my face and said that if I didn't return his money in the next 2 hours, no one would be able to find me. I did as he asked without hesitating. I thought I knew him, but apparently people could be great deceivers. I sent him his money back and berated myself. I should have just gone to the cops when I found out what he was doing. He waited patiently as I sent him his money and gave me a slap across the face. You're really a bitch. I saw you in the restaurant when you were going through my phone. You had the nerve to hack into my account. I guess you would have succeeded if I hadn't known what you were up to. How did it feel to have the tables turned on you? I whimpered, cradling my face. I had no idea he found out. He acted so well that night that I totally believed him. Josh laughed again and left my house. I heard that he resigned, and that was the last I heard about him.
Before now, the dark web was a secret, something people didn't talk about freely as such, until people started falling victim to hackers and lost protection of themselves. At first, it was just random messages popping on the screen about being always watched and a particular someone always knowing where you were, before it led to people always running from going out because they didn't know if someone could be watching them, and then take pictures to post on the web. For days, it went on like that, and most of my friends fell victim to it. Most of them eventually had to break up with their partners because whoever took pictures of them just had to take one where they were intimate with another person. When their stories all felt similar, I just had to think it was someone close to us that was doing such. It was quite easy to think that it couldn't be someone who didn't know anything about the friend group or where they were going to be at a particular time. I made it my sole aim to catch whoever was the culprit behind uploading our private information on the web. It couldn't be that hard, since I was almost 100% sure that it was one of us. I called a meeting that night for the next day, with the attachment that just read, a friendly meeting to have fun, but I had other plans in place, or instead, the culprit had other plans for me. If only one could see the future, I would have tried to prevent it from happening. The continuous notifications from my laptop woke me up the next morning. My friends had sent concerned messages, and people seemed to be commenting on the same picture on the web. I downloaded the picture and opened it, only to find out it was me asleep but half naked on the bed. How on earth? I checked myself again and I was fully clothed, just the way I went to sleep last night. I tried deleting the picture, but I couldn't. I tried to turn off the comments, but I couldn't, since I wasn't the one who posted it. It was the same person who had posted the pictures of my friends cheating on their partners. I walked around the house to check if I left the door open overnight, or a window, because there was no way the person could have gotten in from the door. I was sure I locked the door. I took another step closer to the door, and I heard another door in my house close just behind me. It was almost as if someone had been there and was about to come out when he saw me and went back before closing the door, but I ignored it. It was probably just my mind. I checked the front door and it was just as I left it the night before, shut, closed, and tight. I was confused but decided to ignore it. Everyone had questions and I wasn't ready to answer. It was better to just ignore it for the moment. A good bath was always the fix for situations as such. I walked back to the bedroom and then to the bathroom for a good bath. I had barely switched on the shower when I heard a loud bang in the sitting room. I rushed out of the bathroom, and before I pulled on my towel, I heard the glass in the room shatter. I stayed back for a few seconds in the bedroom, behind the door, and I heard footsteps in the sitting room. It sounded huge and angry, like it was running from one place to another, looking for a particular thing. I put on a very big top and tried to go out, but stopped when I heard footsteps again. It was coming towards the bedroom this time. I locked the door quietly and just waited silently for whatever was going to happen. I was scared and silent before my laptop gave my silence away. A notification came in, and just by looking at it, I knew I just had to check immediately. The culprit posted a picture on his page. He was in a mask and the background was my house. I zoomed in on the picture and I just had no doubt it was indeed mine. How on earth is the person even in a house that was locked overnight? Has he been here before and I didn't notice? His caption read, "Just having my fun in the best way I can. Nothing can stop me now." He added a goofy emoji and I just got more annoyed at it. How was scaring someone else and running around the house fun? Suddenly, I began to remember all the weird things that had been happening for a while. Coming home to meet clothes scattered all over the room, but not remembering how it got there, because I just thought of myself as a messy person. Or the running water in the bathroom, which I was sure I put off before leaving the house. Or the endless search of money that I know I put in a particular place and couldn't find it again, and eventually ended up calling myself careless. I put on some courage and decided to face him. The worst that could happen was getting beat up or him pulling off my clothes and showing it on the web. And if the web was still as secretive as it used to be, I wouldn't be concerned. I opened the door slightly, and when I didn't see anyone, I walked out and closed the door silently. I adjusted the wardrobe stick that was in my hand. I had to make a weapon for myself somehow. I kept walking and walking, and only stopped when I heard footsteps behind me. "See who finally came out?" the voice said. I know that voice, I thought. I knew that voice from anywhere. No one could even tell me it was someone else and I would agree. "Jasper?" I asked, but didn't get any reply. I felt the footsteps move further away when I turned. He was no longer there. I looked around for him but couldn't find him. Oh God, what kind of sorcery is this? I sighed in frustration and just stood at the spot. It was hard enough that I was already scared. I could not kill myself for him, even if he posted everything about me for the world to see. I heard him sneak up behind me, and with calculated steps, I stopped him from attacking me and pinned him to the ground. "You do remember I took Taekwondo class, don't you?" I asked him with a feeling of satisfaction about the fact that I caught him. "You're such a creepy human. Did you think you wouldn't get caught? You should have thought again, and I promise you're going to regret this." I picked the shoelaces that were close to me and used it to tie his legs and hands. "Shall we begin?" Even I felt an evil smirk on my face. He was creepy and scary. I could definitely do worse.
I just moved into this new apartment in a brand new city. Last month, I got a job offer, and it was just too good to pass up. I'm 23, and all my life I've lived in this quiet, not-so-populated town. Everyone there knew each other, and everywhere I went, I stopped to chat with people. But here, well, it's quite different. Everyone's so cold. A few days after moving in, I went to the store to pick up a little something, and as I went in, I said hello to the cashier. She looked at me like I was from another planet. Anyway, that's a story for another time. What I wanted to share with you was an incident that happened a few days ago. I was in my kitchen trying to make dinner, but things weren't going as planned. Because until recently I lived in my hometown, I would frequently visit my mom, so I didn't have to make dinner or other complicated types of food. But now I was all alone, and I had to make it work. And unfortunately, even though I followed the recipe I found on YouTube, my chicken got burned anyway. I ended up throwing everything into the trash. Since I was still hungry, and I didn't know any places that served good food, the only option I had was to order in. I downloaded one of those apps, and in no time, an array of snacks, desserts, pasta, and pizzas were right in front of my eyes. I scrolled and found the perfect food. Roasted chicken with a side of roasted potatoes with rosemary, garlic, and a little bit of olive oil. The chicken also had some kind of sauce that seemed fancy. I placed the order, and the app notified me in about 5 minutes the delivery boy had picked up my food. In about 20 minutes, my food arrived. As soon as I heard the knock on my door, I got up from the chair and sprinted through the living room. I opened the door, but didn't see anyone. I got out in the hallway and looked left and right. There, I saw someone wandering around. "Hey, what's up? Are you the delivery boy?" The guy looked right at me from under his hood without saying anything. Then he started walking slowly towards me. I found it kind of weird. He handed me the food, and as I clicked the option to pay cash, I pulled out my wallet. I think I read the price of the food wrong. I had the exact sum in cash, and I didn't have anything else for a tip. Oh man, I thought it was $24, not $34. I'll have to tip you next time. The guy didn't say anything. I didn't even see his face. He had a hood over his head and he was keeping his head down. I tried to close the door, but he put his hand in front of him, stopping me from doing so. What the hell are you doing? He didn't answer. He just kept his head down. I pushed the door even harder, and that's when he got his hand off of it and walked away. Fast forward to later in the evening. The chicken was amazing, and after dinner I thought I'd watch a movie, but it was already 10 p.m., so I decided to go to bed. As my eyes started closing, I heard a knock on my door. Who could that be at this hour? I said while looking at my phone. It was well past midnight. Another booming knock made me think that something was not right. Nevertheless, I went to the front door. I couldn't see anything through the peephole. Reluctantly, I turned the knob and opened the door not even halfway. No one was there. I mustered up the courage to stick my head out so I could look around. No one. Weird, I whispered as I went back inside before locking the door. I raised my arms, stretching them over my head, and I turned around, looking forward to a good night's sleep. A third knock, but this one seemed more violent than the last two. I stood there in the middle of the living room. I associated the noise with some kids that were playing pranks, but the feeling I had pointed to something else. "Open the door!" I heard as I was sweating bullets, staring at the door. I didn't say a word. I just swallowed nervously. "I'm gonna call the police," I said as soon as I composed myself. "Oh yeah?" the voice said. Then I heard heavy footsteps. It seemed that they were moving further away. I tried to look out the peephole again, and that was a big mistake on my part. A piercing pain shot through the entirety of my body. A bright light lit the hallway, and what I saw made me feel sick to my stomach. It was a guy with a hood over his head. He looked similar to the one who delivered my food. But as he took his hood off, I could see a burned head. He had wounds all over his face and scalp. One of his ears was barely hanging on by a piece of flesh. His eyes were white, and his lower lip wasn't there. I screamed and took a few steps back. The locks on my door began to immediately unlock all by themselves. The door opened as I crawled on the floor looking for a safe space. There he was, standing right in front of me. He took a step inside, and a pain that emanated from my stomach made me crawl into a ball. He got closer and closer, and I was defenseless on the floor. "What do you want?" I asked, gathering all of my strength. He didn't say anything. He just crouched down, and the two of us were at eye level. He opened his mouth, and a boil-filled tongue came out while his black teeth were surrounding it. "Please, no!" I yelled as he got closer to my face. All of a sudden, another voice caught my attention. "Hey, sir, are you okay?" A woman's voice asked. I opened my eyes and the guy was gone. I was all alone in my living room with my front door wide open. "I just came home and saw that your door was open and that you were screaming. Do you need me to call an ambulance?" she asked. I got up and got a grip on the entire situation. I looked around, searching for the monster that came into my house, but he was nowhere to be found. I'm fine. Thank you, I must have been sleepwalking." "Well, you should be careful. Someone dangerous could have walked right in," she said, before closing the door and wishing me a good night. I stood on the floor for the rest of the night with the lights on, not knowing what happened. I was too afraid to sleep.